Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Psalm 23 is probably the psalm that's memorized most often, set to music most often, and many of us are familiar with it. It has many lessons in it for us. Begins, I'll use the New Living Translation just for variety. Many of us have memorized it in the King James Version. That's the authorized version. The Lord is my shepherd. I have all that I need. And of course, I think this is definitely a better translation because many people want far more than they need. Our economy is built on advertisers encouraging us to want more than we need. But the shepherd is an interesting analogy or metaphor. And we can think of several ways in which we people are like sheep. But that's not the focus of the psalm. It's not on how dumb we are or how much we are likely to follow other dumb people. The focus is on the Lord as a shepherd. And in the ancient Near East, that was a common figure in which kings were described. Especially, for peoples that had flocks, they would understand the importance of having a shepherd. Verse 2, he says, He lets me rest in green meadows. And there are a couple of important points in that. Meadows are a source of food, but here the focus is on the rest. He leads me beside peaceful streams, still waters. Sheep are sometimes reluctant to drink from rapidly flowing water. They like still pools. But of course, if it's stagnant, it's not good for them. So streams is a better place to get the water. And it's a picture, ideally, of what things are ideally. David knows quite well that our life is not always like this. We do not always have still waters, peaceful meadows. There are many psalms in which he cries out, How long, O Lord, till you intervene for me? But here he's describing the ideal state in which we can rest in what God has given us. Verse 3, He renews my strength. He guides me along right paths, bringing honor to His name. Yeah, He guides us, although we don't always follow. And that's some of our difficulty. But if we will follow, then He will bring us to the right path. Sometimes sheep out in a meadow can get so intent on the rut, the habits that they have built. They follow themselves, as it were, in this same rut. And there can be something really good 6 feet over to the side, and they will not even notice it. They'll just go on their same old rut to the same old pasture, and the shepherd has to lead them to a new area so that one area of the pasture isn't overgrazed. Has to keep moving them along to help them. And God sometimes does that with us. He will move us to new areas of our life. We may not understand it at the time, but we put ourselves in this psalm and we say, the Lord is my shepherd. He will lead me in the right paths. Verse 4, even when I walk through the darkest valley, I will not be afraid. For you are close beside me. Your rod and your staff protect and comfort me. Of course, there is no valley, for most people, darker than the familiar terms we are familiar with, the shadow of death. I remember more than 10 years ago now when my nephew died, and I was there to be with the family, and I was not really a very good comforter. But my sister-in-law knew what she needed to hear. It was the Lord's Prayer and Psalm 23. Her life then certainly wasn't peaceful streams. It wasn't abundance. But this is the psalm that she wanted to hear, because this is what she knew she needed. And this is the setting in which the psalm becomes more meaningful for us. When we have these trials and difficulties, that's when we need to remember that the Lord is our shepherd. He will take care of us. Though physical circumstances may not tell us that. But we need to know that He is our shepherd. Verse 5, you prepare a feast for me in the presence of my enemies. You honor me by anointing my head with oil. My cup overflows with blessings. And in some ways it's easy for me to say that, because I do have many blessings. I live in from what David had, I live in luxury. I live in comfort, climate-controlled apartment. I have, 30 changes of clothing. That is enormous for ancient standards. I have more food in the cupboard, and I have to store some outside in case of earthquake. We have abundance. Our cup does overflow. And I think sometimes when our cup overflows, we also forget who made it overflow. And that too, when trials strike us, we do cry out. We need something. When our cup overflows, we forget our need to remember that the Lord is our shepherd. He's the one who has led us to the green meadow. He's the one who has helped our cup overflow with blessings. Verse 6, surely your goodness and unfailing love will pursue me, even though sometimes I run away. He will come after me all the days of my life, and best of all, I will live in the house of the Lord forever. It's not talking about a building that God owns. It's talking about the household of God that would be part of this family. And that is the blessing that supersedes them all. And that the blessings we have now are just a tiny foretaste of the greater things to come. And we need to be thankful for what we have. Remember that our shepherd has provided these for us. When Jesus said, I am the good shepherd, He was, in effect, saying, I am what this psalm is all about. I am the Lord that you sing to.